Hello, everyone. Cecil Martin here.
Hey, this is Hunter Henry.
What's up, man? This is Max Crosby, part of Raider Nation.
Hey, this is Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman.
Hey, it's Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks.
Hey, this is Jerry Judah, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, and you're listening to the 14-Yard NFL Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Full 10 Yards NFL podcast. This is your Week 7 recap. And joining me to break down Week 7 is two guests who I'm sure you're very familiar with now. It is, of course, Olly Darcy to my left and Owen Cordell to my right. They've been on the podcast many times this season. We thought we'd try it out with the three of us giving it a go this time. So I'm hoping you're enjoying the new layout if you're watching it on YouTube. Anyway, boys, welcome to the podcast. It's a bit of a weird one last night, wasn't it? Just watching through all these games. A lot of shocks. And, we'll start with the main shock in a minute. But how did you enjoy yesterday? Some excellent games on the slate, wasn't there?
I had a good. There was a few good games, a few that didn't go my way, but no, it was a good week. There are some really interesting games that went down to the wire, and then there are a few that no one expected to be blown out to be blowouts. But yeah, another interesting week.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a good slate of games looking at it at the start of the weekend, and I think it has been. I mean, a couple of shocks, a couple absolute, as Ollie said, blowouts, but yeah, it was entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah. We'll start in New England, where the Patriots shot the Bills. The 4-3 Bills now, the 2-5 Patriots, only their second win of the season to earn Bill Belichick his 300th win. But it's Buffalo who are the story of this game, really. A second straight game with just lackluster offense from the Bills. They could easily be 3-4 right now if it wasn't for the Darren Waller PI at the end of the game on Sunday Night Football last week. They're 13-3 down at half time before they started to put together any sort of offense at all yesterday. Found a bit of a run game and scored in their first possession of the second half through James Cook to make it 10-13. But New England also found an offense, something that they haven't found all year either. It's probably their best half of offensive football, I'd say, yesterday, which is saying something. I thought Mac looked really decent. He had 2 scoring drives in the fourth quarter. The first was topped off with a Kendrick Bourne TD with 7 minutes to go. The 2-point was no good, so the Patriots were at 22-10. The second came after the Bills took the lead of the game, actually, after a Stephon Diggs touchdown to make it 17-22, where he just went into the end zone untouched. It looked like he was down, but he wasn't. Before Kendrick Bourne fumbled and gave the Bills a ball back in field goal range instantly. Josh Allen QB sneaked just out of the 2-minute warning, put the Patriots up, plus a 2-point conversion, 25-22. But a big Ramondre Stevenson run after catch and Hunter Henry gain boosted the Patriots closer towards a game-winning drive with Mike Gesicki there to finish off for the Bills. They made me look stupid. I said on Friday that I'm so confident Buffalo will win this game. They won their last 3 meetings against the Patriots by an average of 18 points. And the spread was only 8.5. I thought, I'd hammer this. But boys, I'll start with you first. Owen, as you were last to answer the last one. What would you say is a bigger concern for the Bills now? The fact that they can't score, or the fact that they let the Patriots score 29 against them?
I mean, going into it, I saw all over Bill's Twitter there was dubious about their offensive coordinator. I don't think that's changed coming out of this one. I think there's more question marks over his head, and I think the biggest they don't look like scoring. I know there's some times they get to the red zone and they don't look like scoring, and it's against New England, who have got a good defense, but you got to be looking at that, and that is a game that everyone expected you to win, so you probably should win it.
Olly, do you share the same view, or are you more worried that their defence allowed 29 points to to that offence?
Well, yes, with their defence, no, not really. I mean, they're games that Mac Jones can have with only 5 incompletions. And I expected more of those games coming into this season for Mac Jones than I did what we've seen the last 2-3 weeks. The disappointing thing is definitely their offense over their defense. Their defense have been fantastic for the first 6 weeks, but their offense has just been stuttering. It hit another blockade yesterday, and as Owen said, there were talks about their OC. I don't know who their offensive coordinator
Ken
is.
Dorsey.
Yeah, so I forgot. That's why I said OC. I forgot.
I mean, he's looking. He could be on the hot seat. I mean, Josh Allen, who has been looking like MVP caliber for the last 2-3 seasons, is nowhere near what he could be. The run game looks all right. James Cook does look like a really good player. He's shown that for 6 weeks he will be a good player. But if this offense keeps going the way it's going, then it's just not. That is the concern, isn't it? Because it's the first let up their defense has probably had all season, really. So I'd say it's definitely on the offense than the defense for the Bills.
Well, you could say probably there's 3 games that the Bills have looked really good in offense, and this year it would be the Raiders win, the Commanders win, and probably the Dolphins win as well, and that's it. Right, and those 3 defenses they're not bad defenses by any means. They're still top. Possibly middle of the road defenses, right? Then they've had very bad games against good defenses like the Jets, the one of the Giants, which wasn't even a good defense, but that was just a worry last week. And then this New England team, who you'd like to think are good on defense, because then this is a New England defense. Let's not forget without they're missing Matt Judon, they're missing Christian Gonzalez. They came to play yesterday. There's no doubt about that. You got J.C. Jackson back here. That he a few big plays. Jabril Peppers made the interception of Josh Allen. He knew that Allen loves corner route. We see Allen going to the sideline all the time with passes. He hid and then jumped right in front of it, in front of a pass to get the interception there. It was a cool play at the start of the game, and it sort of set a tone and helped the Patriots go 10-0 up and take a stronghold in this game because. I think the Bills after last week had to start out strong, and the fact that they were down 2 scores at the very start of the game was a big worry. And because of that, they just said Josh Allen win us this game. They dropped him back 47 times in this game, which is never a good thing. When a QB has to drop back 47 times. The other sort of a stat line on that line is Jared Goff dropping back 53 times against the Ravens, which we'll get into in a minute. And obviously that game went very south for the Lions too. So that you can sort of point to that and think, if Josh Allen is if he's back out on his own 47 times, in shotgun or whatever, then that's quite bad. And we'll see. Obviously, now the Bills are 4-3, they've got real question marks over them because the Dolphins are ahead in the division right now. They're at 5-2, although it's only half a game back because the Bills beat the Dolphins. If the Dolphins won last night, the Bills would have been in real major trouble. And they've still got to play the Jets, the Patriots again, and the Dolphins again as well. So we'll see how the AFC shakes out. But anything else you want to say about this game, boys? It was just, look, fair play to New England. I've given them a lot of stick this year, winning this game. A lot of stick, but they deserved it. They looked really bad. They didn't look like one of the worst teams in football yesterday, which they have done all the rest of the year, and that's an encouraging step for them because Belichick was in the hot seat, or at least the magnifying glass was over Belichick and the way the Patriots team was looking before this game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean.
Nah, go on.
We can have this all day. I was just going to say that. I mean, talking about Belichick maybe being scrutinised, news came in. Was it before the game that he'd been given an extension? And you can't turn your back on Bill Belichick. He is still one of the premier coaches out on this league, isn't he? And I mean, yesterday it just showed it. It is a league for. It's a league for coaching. Like offense will win you a lot of games in this regular season, but if you are coached well, you will win these games, which is what Belichick did. He dialed it up yesterday, came out with a win.
Oh, completely. I was going to say, I think the difference maker for the Patriots in this game especially was their O-line held up for the duration of the game, and especially on the game-winning drive in the fourth quarter. And I mean, that was the biggest difference maker for them because this year the O-line has looked a bit unstable. But I don't know how he's turned it around for this game. I don't know if they were up for it or something. But I think when watching back the highlights, it's something I noticed is the O-line held up well.
Yeah, they've struggled with their offensive line this year as well, so that's a good sign for sure. Right, moving over to the game I teased just a minute ago, the Lions going into Baltimore. The Lions went into the game 5-1, but they're now 5-2. The Ravens coming away at 5-2, also winning 38-6. And Lamar Jackson threw himself back into the MVP conversation as the Ravens demolished them. I've been saying for weeks that I want a complete Ravens performance, and that was it last night. I said on Friday that the Ravens defense would be the Lions' offense toughest test for sure. The Bucs was a tough test for them as well, but I didn't envision them being able to shut it down this well. They did it completely. Maybe the Bucs showed the league something last week, a little bit of a blueprint. That made Baltimore think, okay, now we'll go. We'll go through this game plan and tweak it a little bit. Also, the Ravens have got a little bit better personnel too. Let's not remember that we're a week removed from the Liam saying that EPA wise they're one of the best teams in the league, a Super Bowl contender along with the Niners and the Chiefs. They're really up there numbers wise, but they laid the egg yesterday. Unfortunately, their offense was looking a bit different without David Montgomery for sure. He's a big miss. Gibbs looked okay yesterday. He got a touchdown, but after the Ravens got out to a massive lead and forced Detroit to punt and then punt and then punt. They were 21-0 up, and Goff was 1 of 3 passing without Detroit turning the ball over, which is just mental because that's they've not turned the ball over yet. They're 3 scores down and they've not even got an offense. They've not even got anything going on offense either. So it's just wow. One of the best starts of the game I've seen from from any team ever for the Ravens yesterday. We'll start with you, Owen, obviously. What did you notice from this game? Because look, fair play to the Ravens and the Lions. They were quite disappointing yesterday, weren't they?
Oh, completely. I sat there last night, smug as anything, because on the podcast preview, and I did pick the Ravens, and I wasn't fully convinced, but after about 10 minutes, I was sitting there happy as Larry. The Ravens defense balled out, Lamar balled out, and it was a complete whitewash, really. I think Lamar with 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, he had a game. And I think the Lions' problem most of the game was they're giving up big plays, such as the Gus Edwards 80-yard running catch. The presence of the Ravens defense all game, Goff was 33 out of 55, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. It doesn't look like Jared Goff numbers, and they completely shut down that Lions offense, which has proven to be formidable in this league so far.
Olly, anything you saw as well?
I was the complete opposite from Owen. I thought the Lions were going to win this game, and I had an absolute mare on fantasy, putting Jared Goff in and leaving Lamar Jackson out. Wow. That summed up my evening yesterday. But look, you've got to give credit where credit's due for these Ravens. I wasn't hot on them at all coming into yesterday. Yeah, they looked all right, but they hadn't had a complete game. And to be perfectly honest, I'd never really seen a complete game from them for the last season and a half. Really, yesterday they just proved what they can do, and what they can do is just absolutely dismantle a team that their sole purpose is to dismantle other teams in the Lions. The Lions will come in, they will hit you, they will punch you in the mouth, and they will just break you down. And they just got manhandled yesterday. They really did. It was a really interesting game to see. It's the first let-up that the Lions have had this season, so there's not too much concern. Well, there is concern getting blown out like that, but it is their first proper loss of the season. It's just a bury the ball game for them. They will come back. They have got the team to do so. But if you're the Ravens, you will be 5-2 now, coming off that win. And as you said, Sam, Lamar Jackson looking back to his best. They will be riding the crest of a wave right now, and they'll just want to plow on this rest of the season like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, if I'm Detroit, I'm a bit worried about what my defense looked like yesterday, because they've looked pretty good the rest of the year. And Lamar Jackson is one of as his arm. It's quite. We've seen that if you can take away, the deep ball from Lamar, he's quite difficult. Sorry, it's quite easy to stop. But when Lamar was hitting them over the middle yesterday, that was a real worry for me, because the Lions looked good on defense. They spent a lot of money on it, and on the offensive line held up as well yesterday. Can I just say as well? Hutchinson didn't look as big of a problem as I thought he would do at all. Okay, so before I broke up there, the Detroit defense, a little bit of a worry yesterday, the way they looked, especially the money they spent on it. It's looked good most of the year, but they got walloped yesterday. My other takeaway from this game, just before we get into the rest of the league, and the last big game we're going to break down before we do the rest of the league, I'm starting to wonder, will the Ravens become a bit like the Jags last year, or the Giants in 2007? A team that's talented but wasn't really performing to the best of its abilities. You could say. And they had a trip, away to London, came away, got that win, and then went on the run. Oh, well, actually, the Jags didn't win the game, but they built together as a team, went on the run, and then continued winning into, and in the Giants' case, winning a Super Bowl. In the Jags' case, winning a playoff game last year, and coming back from 4 scores down, showing they had real integrity. I'm hoping that that the Ravens now, after that they had a whole week in London yesterday, they learned last year last week. Sorry, they learned from what they had. When they got absolutely walloped by the Jags. In 2017 in London, that you've got to stay there the whole week. I'm hoping they've built as a team. They're intertwined now, and hopefully we'll see the Ravens go on and have a nice run into the playoffs, because now they're first in the AFC North. They've got the advantage now, although Pittsburgh and Baltimore are on their tails. But it'd be nice to see them go on and have a similar run, I'd say, for sure. We'll go over to Philadelphia now, where the Eagles played their most complete game of the season, frustrating the flashy Finns offense. The Eagles the Eagles absolutely dominated the Miami offensive line. The first time the Miami offensive line looked shaky, all season really, even with a couple of backups in the last few weeks. The Eagles showed their intent from the very start, with Hassan Reddick getting 2 big run stuffs. He's really come on lately. He had a really, really slow start to the season, but the last couple of weeks he's been an absolute wrecking through in the defensive line for the Eagles. Recently, he's been great. After a few more tries, we saw the Dolphins pretty much abandon the run game for the entire first half because they just weren't getting through, leaving Tua to basically just beat them himself. I actually thought he played a pretty good game yesterday. All things told, it was always going to be a problem if Tua is sat there back in the pocket, missing 3 offensive linemen, his entire left side of his offensive line, and his starting centre in Connor Williams too, because Isaiah Wynn left this game pretty early on. The Eagles went up pretty big right at the start. They were up 17-3. The Dolphins, after abandoning the run game, just gave it to Tua's hands, went 5 of 5 for 59 yards, and he took a sack from Nolan Smith, and then the next play he hit Tyreek Hill for a 27-yard touchdown to make it 17-10 before the half. But after that, it was pretty much the same throughout the game. It was very much Philly manhandling on both sides of the football, as you'd expect them to, because they are probably 2 of the best units in both trenches. They fought through, the offensive line fought through. Vic Fangio threw at them. Hurt was under pressure a bit, but they couldn't run the ball either. But the Eagles took advantage of the fact that the Dolphins were missing their 2 top cornerbacks in Xavier Howard, who was out for a groin injury, and Jalen Ramsey, who's obviously just had meniscus surgery, although he is on the mend and he'll be back pretty soon. I'll start with you, Ollie. You called Jalen Hurts your MVP at the end of the year when you were predicting him. He's not looked great this year, but that was probably his best game, bar the pick 6, right? And even then, they had 2 people in his face at that point.
Well, as you said, he was my MVP choice for this season. Last season, even I said I think he should have been MVP because he would have been unbeaten last season, bar his injury, and then bar the final game of the season when they had it all wrapped up. This season, it's been pretty shaky. Losing Shane Steichen, we both said, me and you, Sam, on this podcast, that is big, and Steichen's doing really, really nicely in Indy at the moment. But now Philadelphia are just starting to settle down a bit now with a new system, new personnel, and Hurts is just slowly getting there, and it shows that he's reading the game really nicely now, which was a big worry coming out of college. And he's reading the game. His football brain is just getting better and better. And I think if Philly keep going the way they're going offensively, they're going to be so dangerous in the NFC. They're going to be so dangerous because the NFC is not loaded at all. And if they can just keep building like the way they're going, they're going to be so dangerous. And Hurts, he's got a long way to go to get into this MVP elite conversation. But if he can play the way he did and he's coming in with those touchdowns now. He's on to 9. He's not protecting the ball as much as he would with 8 interceptions. But if he can get the ball rolling even more, which is what he's doing offensively, then I think Philly will be they can challenge San Francisco pretty well, I think.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head there. He would throw it yesterday. He threw it up to AJ Brown, when he's man coverage with the likes of Perry Nickerson or Kader Kahu, who is a great corner. And he had his players yesterday. But when Kader Kahu's your number 1 corner now, then that's with Eli Apple, I'd probably say Kahu's probably just slightly better corner than Eli Apple, but he took advantage of the matchups that they were getting, and obviously having Julio Jones had a little bit of an impact. He played snaps, you could say, which I didn't think he'd do straight away. Obviously Devontae Smith's nursing an injury, and he had a pretty good game as well. Zacchaeus had a few plays, but yeah, I think he's just looking at individual matchups for Hurts, and it was very much I trust my guy AJ Brown against him, and AJ Brown had a hell of a day yesterday, and that again is what gave the Eagles a win, other than the trenches, I'd say. I think Owen, would you say it's probably safe to say that Philly needed that? Again, best game of the year in prime time. They've just been the way they lost to the Jets was quite unfortunate, but they did lose that game themselves. And they moved to 6-1 despite what we've seen at the start of this year, where they've just been slowly, quietly grinding away wins, but not really showing that they're a great team. Would you say that yesterday was, obviously it was probably their best performance, but yesterday was when they really announced themselves. We're the Philadelphia Eagles. We were the NFC representative in the Super Bowl last year. We're still here. Would you say that was that game yesterday?
Oh, completely. And I mean, coming off the back of that loss to the Jets, I mean, it was unexpected. I had a couple of people scratching their heads, and what a statement win, what a performance from the Eagles. I mean, individual performances like Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. I know it was a weaker, I need to say Jalen Ramsey then. I know it was a weaker Miami defense with, when found out before the game started that Xavier Howard would miss it, I did think it's edging towards the Eagles, but I didn't expect a dominant performance like this, like completely stopping a very prolific Miami run game. It's big. They've shown that they can contend with what looks like the big boys of the NFL. And I think this is a performance to keep on going and carry on going and build momentum on completely and run out to the end of the season. Look, they will make playoffs. We all know they'll make playoffs. And they will probably, if they make it far enough, face teams similar to the Miami Dolphins in terms of talent, coaching, all that. And this is a great win for them because they can look back on this game and go, look, we managed to do it week 6. Now we have to do it when we're actually together and we're actually playing our best.
Yeah, and my sort of final thoughts on this one, we saw just a few things to note as well. Jalen Phillips, he sacked Jalen Hurts. That closed out the first half. That was the first sack that Lane Johnson had allowed since week 11 of 2020. So that's 3 years since Lane Johnson last allowed a sack, which is just a mental. Another thing as well is the Dolphins got to just outside the red zone, trailing 17-10 in the third quarter. 3rd and 3, 2 to Tyreek for what looked like a TD, but he dropped it as he sort of got caught up in his knee, I think, when he was running, and it was ruled an incomplete pass. They're scrambling for it in the end zone, but it was an incomplete pass rather than a fumble into the end zone, which the Dolphins was a bit of a break, but obviously that's a touchdown could have left on the table there. And then 4th and 3. The very next play, there was a clear pass interference call on James Bradbury, a face mask as well on defending Cedric Wilson. That wasn't called. That was a turnover on downs. But the next play afterwards, there was a little bit of a the Dolphins needed that momentum, I'd say, because Kato Kahu got in Hurts' face, he defended the pass, and then Jerome Baker walked away with the ball for a pick 6. That looked like it would make the game a bit interesting. At that point, the Dolphins level the game. They should have scored a touchdown beforehand as well. But after that, Philly just took control of the game again. AJ Brown walked out of an Andrew Van Ginkel tackle for a touchdown with 15 seconds going in the third, and then the next drive saw Darius Slay intercept to looking for Raheem Mostert in the end zone. But this one, I think that looked to me to be pass interference again on Mostert from the linebacker for the Eagles. I think after that, the Eagles went on a long clock-running drive with 2 brotherly shoves, and the best throw I've seen Hurts make this season. Again, Andrew Van Ginkel being driven to the ground by him. Looks like he's going to have a sack, and then he hits AJ Brown perfectly in front of him for a massive gain as well. And then Kenneth Gainwell finished the game off with a touchdown. But I think those calls there really summed up the game, and I think it was a bit of a weird one from the refs because they missed a lot. The Dolphins were penalised 10 times, the Eagles no time at all, and quite a few left on the field there. There should have been a couple of flags. I mean, obviously, there's no excuses for anyone. The Eagles probably would have won yesterday anyway. They got a little bit of help from the refs, but they were excellent. But just thing to watch because the refereeing just seemed inconsistent with that one. And it has done for a lot of games, over the last couple of weeks as well. So we'll there was that as well. But that's looking at the Dolphins media. I think this
week in particular. This week in particular there were some really interesting calls. I mean, you were talking about 10-0 in flags. That's ludicrous. I've never really even heard of that before. And they were throughout this week, the refs had some very peculiar calls. it's not something we want to see, and it's not something that fans like want to talk about because they want to talk about the game. They don't want to talk about this happened. But when it's just blatantly poor, if it's even if it's for your team and it's like blatantly obvious that they've made some mistakes or that there's like a 10-0 split, they're going to talk about it and they're going to be displeased at it because they want to win. The fans want to see teams win the game properly, not with help. Obviously, they want to see ticks in the win column, but the reffing it was a pretty interesting week, and it's been going on for years and years.
Yeah, I think we'll get into it again in the next game because it's similar sort of end of the next game too. But no, I just want to say as well, I come away from this one not really worried about the Dolphins. Again, they're super banged up, and they would have got spanked if it was that case in previous years. So last year, McDaniel, they would have got spanked yesterday, and with Brian Flores as well, again, same thing. So they're still growing as a team, I think. And then Philadelphia, again, they needed that, and that was for them. It was very key for them to win that game because if you lose 2 in a row, then going into the immense amount of tough games you've got coming up now. If you look at the Eagles' schedule, it's really difficult. They had to win this game to sort of get on the right foot going into that. But I think both of these teams will. Again, this last night Super Bowl preview. I wouldn't be surprised to see if this was a Super Bowl matchup. Certainly, I think they're both going to be in the postseason. So a nice little preview we got there for sure. Okay, moving over to the rest of the games in yesterday's. We'll go through them one by one. We all had our eyes on a few of them each. I had my eye on the Browns Colts game. The Browns ended up winning 39-38 in that one. The 4-2 Browns now going they're now 3-4 Colts. This game was wild, absolutely wild. Starting with a long Jerome Ford touchdown, and it was quickly followed by a deep Josh Downs touchdown. It's staying crazy throughout, back and forth. The game ended with 2 penalties in the Colts defense, wiping out a DeForest Buckner strip sack and a PI call, setting them up on the 1-yard line. The Browns got it in on the 4th attempt on 4th down, Kareem Hunt to win the game. A heartbreaking loss for the Colts. And we mentioned it with the Dolphins game as well. The refs really lost this one for the Colts, which is unfortunate. But it's just the way the game went. Both teams look great actually. It was a backup between. It was a game a backup for most of it pretty much between PJ Walker, who came in for Deshaun Watson. He went out for a big hit after a concussion. He was checked. He didn't have a concussion, but he wasn't allowed back into the game. Stefanski said that it was best to keep Mario Funchess quarterback out of the game, which I thought was interesting with everything that's gone on in the last couple of weeks. But we'll see. We'll put that to the side. And then Gardner Minshew as well, basically carrying on from where Anthony Richardson left this Colts offense as well. Him and Steichen especially, he just calling great games for the Colts now, and I'm really enjoying what I saw. Other than, look, Deshaun as well. The thing I would say with Deshaun is he had a poor interception before he got checked for concussion. It was late on the read. Julian Blackman pounced the hit that he took. He also threw an interception, but it was ruled incompletion. It hit the ground. That was to Kenny Moore. But my main takeaway from this game was, wow, like the Colts can put up points even without Anthony Richardson. They're using some of the run stuff with Gardner Minshew having 2 rushing touchdowns here. The Browns, I don't know how I feel about the Browns. The defense didn't, they shut down the Niners, but then they allowed the Colts to score 38 points. It's like, what's going on here then? So that's interesting. But again, I think both these teams will be in the hunt at the end of the season, and the fact that the Browns got this win is great for them. But I think the refs will be will be the main talking point from this game, to be fair, and we'll see if Deshaun Watson plays or not next week. But I thought PJ Walker came in and played quite well actually. So if you're gonna be quite conservative in that front, like the Colts have been with Richardson, then I don't think he's not a bad quarterback to be in that situation. And you've got a run game and a great defense as well. I think Myles Garrett as well. Can I just say before we get into the next game, Myles Garrett's field goal block. Oh,
he's such an athlete. He's so good. He had a game.
Yeah. Anything you boys noticed in this one before we get on to the next game?
Not overly. I think you summed it up pretty well. I'd just say Streichen's just a quarterback whisperer, isn't he? He's so good at what he does. He's so good. He makes Gardner Minshew look good, which isn't it's quite a hard task. I was just happy because I had Josh Downs in my fantasy lineup, so quite a bad day for me.
What you said about Steichen, Owen, is so true. He's got this ability. I think the Colts have absolutely hit a home run on him. and they've only played 7 games. The way he's been able to make this offense tick is unbelievable. Like, even with Deshaun Watson in, I don't know how they've managed to build up this team, but Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss as your 2 running backs is so dangerous. Zach Moss has come in as well.
Yeah, Taylor was back yesterday.
He's come in and done something, and then Josh Downs has turned up. Michael Pittman has been very, very good this season. The Colts have a really nice team, and they've got a really nice head coach. They just came up the wrong side of some reffing decisions. And the Browns are just finding ways to win games, which is what you've got to do, which is really what they are built on with their defense. Their defense, yes, gave up 38 points to the Colts, but maybe we should expect that from the Colts maybe a little bit more now. Some really nice offensive plays. And you've just got to give Browns credit for hanging tough. And they are a tough football team. And in the playoffs, they really could do something special. I mean, and Myles Garrett, absolute animal. Along with that block, 2 sacks. And as you like to mention, Sam, you're Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, no. You had TJ Watt. I said Myles Garrett.
We'll get on to TJ Watt later.
No,
I still think TJ Watt's the front runner though.
Yeah,
he has to be.
It is really close. TJ Watt's been brilliant, but yeah, Myles Garrett he's just an animal, an absolute animal.
Right, Ollie, we'll keep you talking. I'll just go into why, because Ollie, you're a Packers fan. You had your eyes on the Packers' loss to Denver, a 19-17 loss. I'd probably say penalties cost the Packers on the final drive with Jordan Love icing the game with an interception to PJ Locke. They were down 19-17. A big AJ Dillon run got them into scoring range very quickly, but a holding penalty pegged them back to 3rd and 20 after an incompletion to Christian Watson, where Love was forced to take a shot downfield. The shot was intercepted. The Packers' offense was horrendous in the first half. Love's average depth of target was about 3 yards, and it was 3 Will Lutz field goals in the first half that gave Denver the lead. Anders Carlson missed a 43-yarder too, which obviously ended up being the difference in this game too. Which, when you look back at that, it's like, if we made that kick, then it would have been a bit different. But the Packers got a bit more aggressive after going down 16-3. They had 2 touchdowns to get in front. The second one was a bit lucky, though, deflecting into Jaden Reed's hands. I'll tell you what, Ollie, I think Sean's prediction sounded pretty accurate that he made at the start of the season, which you disagreed with. But just what are your thoughts on the game as a Packers fan, really?
This is try and keep it PG. No, I'm still going to disagree with what Sean said, but I could. You two can agree with me though. This is nothing to do with Jordan Love in the quarterback position.
Shut up.
No, I do partly agree. I partly agree.
I'm telling you,
he doesn't add anything.
I'm not saying that he is the difference maker in this team. He's clearly not. We're 2-4, and he has some really poor throws down the field this year. I don't know what is holding him back, but he's been horrendous. He's like 0-3. He underthrew that pick so badly. Poor decision making. I can agree with that. But he had 3 or 4 really nice throws that went through receivers' hands. They're memorable. He put a really nice ball on Romeo Doubs that was dropped. Some of his throws were really nice. The deflected touchdown, very lucky, but it was a really nice sidearm throw that, again, it won't come off as a nice Love play. But if Dobbs holds on to that, it is a really nice play from Jordan Love. So, as you say, Sam, at this point in time, he's not bringing anything, and it's not looking good, and his decision-making is awful. That last pick is just a poor play. But it relies, again, on the offensive calling from Matt LaFleur and Adam Stenovich as our OC. He was our offensive line coach, and he's now our coordinator. It's just not working. And Matt LaFleur's calling in this first half was just abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. As you said, the second half we got aggressive. Packers got aggressive, and we scored 2 touchdowns. So look, there is like we ran the ball. Dylan looked quite nice when he was running the ball. Jones is slowly getting back into it as well. But it's just ridiculous coaching decisions that we spoke about with Denver having ridiculous coaching decisions, and the Packers they're just falling foul of this. And like, it's not a good look in title town at the moment. I mean, fair play to Denver. They hung on. Javonte Williams ran the ball nicely, as every running back does against the Packers. Missing Jair Alexander again was big. Cortland Sutton had a nice game. Russ Wilson did what he needed to do, move the ball when he needed to, and they scored points. They got their second win, and they'll be happy with that. But yeah, it's a really poor look coming off a bye week as well for the Packers to look like that offensively in the first half, which they've struggled with all season, is just horrendous. And what you said on like throwing the ball downfield from Love, he was averaging 9.9 air yards with his throws, which was the highest in the league prior to this game. And in the first half, as you said, he averaged about 3 or 4. It's just, and again, it's just, that's not on Love, that's on coaching, and it's just, it's a really bad look for them.
See, I'd much rather have Russ Wilson than Jordan Love still. And, I mean, I'm a big advocate by saying Russ isn't the problem for Denver. He had a couple of nice throws to Cortland Sutton, as you said, one being the touchdown. But I think, I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it with Love whatsoever. I think I'd rather have, about 20 quarterbacks over Jordan Love right now. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'd probably say I was expecting more. But I mean, look, I'd probably say that both these teams are 5 to 7 win teams right now. When it comes to draft order, this win could be costly for Denver because it looks like the Packers are probably going to have a better pick now. So that's my only other takeaway from this game. I don't think these teams are going anywhere, unfortunately.
I mean, we were watching the games yesterday, and I said, "Oh, we've got a great chance to go 13-4 now," which obviously is not going to happen. But I mean, yeah, both these teams it was close to being just the dumpster fire bowl. Really, it was really poor. It was really, really poor.
I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
we're talking about Jordan Love and all that stuff. I agree with Sam in part about how he's not exactly lighting the world on fire, and he is underwhelming. But I also agree with Olly in the fact that the play calling, you can only do so much with the plays that you get called. So I think I'm not done with Jordan Love yet. I know I'm not convinced he's a flop yet, but there's something needs to change. Otherwise, he will go. He's not going to stay around for long.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the Chiefs-Chargers game. The Chiefs were 31-17 winners, moving to 6-1. I said on Friday to you, Owen, that all Chiefs-Chargers games are fun. They always start back and forth. But in this game especially, Mahomes and Kelsey were on record pace. I didn't mind it because I had Mahomes in fantasy going up against Olly, so I'm not complaining. But my sort of thought on this was, if the Chiefs are this good now, they're playing complete football now, what are they going to look like at the end of the season? Are they peaking too early? I mean, it's probably a good sign, I guess. They're clearly the team to beat early in the season because, I thought the Chargers played pretty well actually yesterday on both units, which, barring the circumstances, obviously record-breaking half in the first, they're on pace to be. It was pretty impressive to do. I thought, I don't think they should really be a 2-4 football team, but poor coaching, especially at the start of the year, has cost them. But after there was a point in this game where it was one score. Justin Herbert threw an interception. I think there's a couple of punts, and then Mecole Hardman had a 50-yard punt return to give the Chiefs new life, and then take a 2-score lead through an Isaiah Pacheco touchdown. After that, the game kind of changed. It was both defenses in the second half played well after the first half shootout state. I think with this one, the Chiefs are the better team. They're the better coach team by far, and I think with this one, look, the Chiefs are so good, aren't they? They're playing good defense, good offense now. That they really clicked an offense yesterday, which they haven't really done this year. Having Hardman in there helped to obviously bring him back on trade. But I mean, look, they ran the ball yesterday, and Rashee Rice as well. I think it looks to be Mahomes' receiver one now, behind obviously Kelsey. What are your takes on this game, Owen? I know you had your eye on it.
God, how about them Chiefs? They look very, very good. I mean, Mahomes threw for 321 yards in the first half, which is ludicrous. And everyone had their eyes on the record saying, could they beat it? Could he beat it? But he ended up with only 424, not the best, and 4 touchdowns. This game just shows this absolute Hall of Fame duo of Kelsey and Mahomes. I mean, Kelsey finished today with 12 catches and 179 yards and a touchdown. And they had their 50th touchdown together, which was sadly tainted by that Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes handshake. Which, God, I don't know what the hell that was. But this Chiefs defense looks the real deal, doesn't it? It's just they held Justin Herbert to 259 passing yards and 2 picks, and he was sacked 5 times. It was dominance from the Chiefs, and they do look like the team to beat. I mean, it was Mecole Hardman brought that punt back 50 yards. It was nice to see him getting straight back involved because he just didn't really have a place in that jet scheme, did he? So it's all worked out pretty well. I mean, it's just the Chiefs have always been decent in regular season and turned it up in playoffs, and they're just looking unreal in the regular season now, and it's scary.
It's so scary. Yeah, that's what I mean as well. I'm looking at it, and they're so clearly the best team in the league. You know, defense has been a top 5 defense all year. The offense yesterday looked like a very good offense, which they've not done. You know, that was their first properly complete game. I think the Jets game was the first half, and the Jets game was pretty close. But this was complete throughout. And I actually thought Herbert looked pretty good yesterday. But in the situation, when you're playing against that Chiefs defense, I think many teams are going to struggle against that Chiefs defense. So I'm not going to nitpick at things he did yesterday.
I think the Chiefs defense, looked fantastic, but they are going to be without Nick Bolton now for 2 months.
Yeah.
After dislocating his wrist, which is a big loss. It is a big loss.
You could tell when he went down the sidelines.
Yeah.
You could tell when he went down the sidelines. Some other players' reactions. That's how big he is to this defense.
He commanded their linebacker. He commands their linebacker in the middle of that defense. He's unbelievable. So it'll be next man up for the Chiefs, as it is in this league, as it always is. That's all they'll say. But missing someone like Nick Bolton is going to be big for them. So how they bounce back from that, especially on the defensive side, obviously will be interesting for their next game.
Yeah, sure. I was watching the Steelers-Rams game yesterday, where the Steelers came up 24-17 winners, moving to 4-2. Look, TJ Watt yesterday, his interception was a huge part. He added to his impressive stat line this year, which is he's got a couple of touchdowns, a couple of interceptions, a couple of forced fumbles. Very up there in sacks as well. He's been an all-round player this year. And as we saw yesterday, he led another defensive-led win for the Steelers, moving to 4-2, despite having some of the worst offensive statistics in the league. They were much better yesterday, though, don't get me wrong. They got Deontay Johnson back from IR, which was huge. He added something. But look, the Rams, they looked the better team, and in the second half it just switched. The Rams took the lead 17 seconds before half time. Nice play from Matt Stafford, moving to his left to avoid Alex Highsmith, the other pass rusher, who again has a great year too, and allowing Tutu Atwell to come back just in front of the end zone, grab the ball and then go back into the end zone again. Brett Morrick missed the extra point in that one as well after the touchdown, making it 9-3, and then coming out of the half, Stafford threw the pick straight to TJ Watt. Who was dropped into coverage. He was trying to set up then an easy scoring opportunity for the Steelers, a pick at QB sneak. The Rams took the lead through Darrell Henderson and a 2-point conversion from Cooper Kupp. But after that, the Steelers defense was just outstanding. Joey Porter was making plays yesterday. Obviously, the defensive line too. They stopped the run as well. Obviously, without Kyron Williams as well, the Rams didn't look great without him. But if we thought Henderson's been there for ages. They have good running backs. Royce Freeman. We thought they could be able to scheme something up. They just couldn't after that. Stafford. It was punt after punt after punt for the Rams, and after that, the Steelers just. They picked it up. George Pickens making plays, Deontay Johnson making plays, Najee Harris getting 2 touchdowns as well, and they really impressed me. And this is what the Steelers offense I thought would look like all year. Maybe getting Deontay Johnson back is a huge help, and hopefully it is. But they're at 4-2 now. They've not looked pretty, but they're firmly in the hunt. They're right there with Baltimore in the AFC North now. This Steelers team, I'm maybe now my 11-6 prediction of them is looking quite good. I'm starting. I'm looking at thinking, maybe I did see something, but no, I definitely got TJ Watt getting defensive player of the year, but certainly being there, right. And what Mike Tomlin is coaching out of this team is it's incredible right now.
Yeah,
it's special.
I was gonna comment on just job Mike Tomlin is doing. It's like Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions-esque. When they went on that run last season, like offensively, it wasn't like the most special thing from the Lions last season. This Steelers offense is certainly not the most special thing ever. Kenny Pickett's looking a lot better, and Deontay Johnson coming back is really good. But Tomlin, just defensively, and as a head coach, like a head coach proper role as well, he's just bringing everything together for the Steelers, and they just grind out these wins. And that's 4 on the season, like you say, Sam. Like they're finding their way through this season. And if they get into that off season, it's going to be really interesting to see how they play.
Oh, for sure. We'll move over to the Falcons-Bucks game now. I know, Ollie, you're on this one as well. What a weird game of football this was, right? Proper division dogfight. It was a full Desmond Ridder experience. 3 fumbles, 1 over the end zone for a touchback, wiping away a touchdown. But he made the big play to Kyle Pitts to set up a Young Wei Koo field goal at the end of the game. And I thought he looked really good yesterday, bar the turnovers. It was a bit of a Josh Allen-style game from Desmond Ridder. His first ever road win as well. And Atlanta now take a big lead in the NFC South, and the Bucs were disappointing for the second straight week.
Yeah, as you say, it was a battle, wasn't it? 16-13. That's not a score you see often, and you can tell that's just a proper division, wanting to get a win over your rivals, just battle. As you said with Ridder, I think Arthur Smith as the head coach with Desmond Ridder is actually really good because, like you've said before, Smith made Tannehill and that Tennessee Titans offense. It was not pretty football by any stretch of the imagination, but it worked. It was effective, and again, what Ridder only had 6 incompletions. And if you look on the box score, it doesn't show the whole picture. As you say, 3 fumbles. It doesn't show the whole picture at all. But 6 incompletions he's managing that football nicely, which is what Arthur Smith does with his team. And they didn't manage to run the ball too well, but when it mattered most, they moved the ball, they scored points, and the Falcons just find a way to win these games, which is what Arthur Smith can do, which is what a really good which is what you need in your head coach. The thing that interests me, though, I don't know if he was nursing an injury or not, but Bjorn Robinson had 1 carry for 3 yards.
He was ill.
Oh, yeah,
was he? Okay.
He had a cold.
yeah, sneezed 3 times. But I mean, look, if he was ill, that's fair. They've still got Algier and Patterson, which is still 2 really good players to have in the backfield. And they're 4-3 now. They're over 500. If you told the Falcons before the season they'd be over 500, I think they'd take it. Tampa, it was a close game. It was just a close battle, and they were just the wrong side this time round. But I think they're still well within their reach to win this NFC South. Mayfield still looks all right. He had an interception, which was probably the tail of the game, really. Ridder held onto the ball. Apart from those fumbles, he didn't throw any picks, whereas Mayfield did. The run game wasn't great for either team, but when it mattered most, the Falcons they marched down the field and got that field goal, which is all they need. Which is how they've won their games, and that's how they're going to win.
Yeah, the Falcons' defense helped them to that as well, and obviously now they've got a good record in division now. And the Bucks now unfortunately have lost a couple of division games, so it's not looking great for them. But they're looking at the Falcons now. They're firmly on their way to a playoff spot. They're losing the playoffs, I expect, but the way the NFC South is. But they're certainly going to get a home playoff game, I think. By the looks of things. Okay, moving over to an all division game. This one in the NFC East. The Commanders going into the Giants, but the Giants came away winners. Tyrod Taylor threw the first Giants offensive first half touchdown this year to Darren Waller. And then they got another through Saquon Barkley as well midway through the second, but didn't score again, which is interesting. It was Taylor's 2 halves really. But luckily, it was enough to win as their defense and special teams were outstanding for the second straight week. A blocked Joey Sly field goal made Brian Dable very pumped on the sideline. But they had a bit of a scare when Saquon fumbled in the red zone in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left to go. Luckily for them, the Commanders didn't really have much offensively all game. It was a long drive to try to tie the game, but the Giants defense came to play and stopped them on 4th and 5 in the red zone with a minute to go. Chase Young is the thing I just want to say about this game as well, because he had a big game yesterday, one of the best players in this game. It's quite a sloppy game, to be fair. Throughout very defensive heavy. Chase Young had a very good game yesterday. Probably increased his price because there's been a lot of talk about him in trade talks, and we'll see what happens in the next 7 days before the deadline, Halloween deadline. Obviously Chase Young, I think he probably needed that game because there are teams that probably would like to trade for him, but after yesterday's game, it probably has increased his price, I'd say.
Oh, completely. I mean, he had a game, and this game was electric. It's absolutely electric. No, I'm joking. It was it's a battle of two of the worst offensive lines in the league. I mean, Sam Howell's been sacked 40 times in 7 games. That is ludicrous. Yeah. And now the Commanders are facing losses on the season from the Bills, which is fair enough, the Bills, but the Bears and the Giants now, and they're looking for a team who should be better than that. I mean,
they got 3 wins. It's mental, and they played Philly, so it's just a weird team, isn't it? I think they need to reset at this point. Make Bieniemy head coach and reset. I think that's what they need to do.
The possession chart on this game is so funny. I mean, it's just, I found it on Twitter. It's so funny. It's just literally, I think there's about 17 punts in this game or something ludicrous. It's crazy. The order of it goes, it's crazy. I mean, it's just 2 teams who are struggling, and the Commanders once again let up 2 touchdowns in the first sort of quarter and a half, which has sort of been their story this year. They don't start hot at all, and that is why they have losses to the Bears and the Giants. And it's something that needs changing. And I'm not confident in Sam Howell. He's had some bright moments this season, but I'm still not hot on him. It was a game where you're watching it and you kind of keep half an eye on it, but I think the score represented the better team, and neither team are good. So I think 14-7 to New York is fair.
Yeah,
fair play.
I think also just quickly on the Giants, I think they've got a new cult hero for this season in Tyrod Taylor, haven't they?
I don't see much difference. I really don't.
Have you seen the stats? They both thrown 2 touchdowns this season.
Exactly. I mean, the second half wasn't pretty at all for the Giants. Scored no points in that second half, but they moved the ball quite nicely. And for those 2 touchdowns, Taylor looked really nice, which is what he can do, which is what we've seen him do in this league. And it's not going to be pretty, but it's reliable, which is really not what you get with Daniel Jones at all. And you're not paying him $40 million. It's just it's ridiculous. I mean, so
that contract was ludicrous.
Oh no,
that
it looks
contract
really
was one
silly.
of the worst in the league.
It's gonna G the Giants up massively, having Tyrod Taylor get them that win and get them that touchdown, especially on the offensive side. On the other side, the Commanders, Jonathan Allen post game, he was really, really disappointed.
He was not happy. He was
not happy at all, and I think that just shows what a rut the Commanders are in at the moment, especially like with that O-line. I mean, we were talking about that Sam Howell stat. That's just bonkers, isn't it? We said he was on for like 98 sacks or something for this season.
Yeah, we tried to work it out last night, didn't we? It's just ludicrous.
It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. onto a game that was less ridiculous, I'd say, is the Cardinals and Seahawks. And although all NFC West games have some drama to them, this one was a bit toned down though. The Seahawks winning 20-10, moving to 4-2. The Seahawks, by the way, the only other team other than the Ravens to beat the Lions. And even that was a shootout, which is a very Seattle fashion. But it was the rookies that made a headline in this one. Jackson Smith-Njigba and Jake Bobo stepping up in the absence of DK Metcalf as Seattle won a tough division game. They were much better yesterday. They may have only scored 7 points more than last week, but it was more of a complete performance for sure. I thought Geno Smith was better, other than the interception where he was scrambling on trying to make a play. Like, less of that, Geno, it's not your game, you're not Patrick Mahomes. But the defense is what impressed me the most, as well as the offense being a little bit better. The Cardinals left tackle DJ Humphries was ejected from this game for making contact with an official. And then in the second quarter, and then after that, the game sort of just changed a little bit. It was close to that point. And then, the Seahawks defense stepped up more. The offense played a little bit better too. We'll start with you, Owen. As a Seahawks fan, what did you see in this one? Before going over to Olly in a minute, because he was watching this one too. Owen, what did you see in this one? Obviously, I know you've been a big advocate of Jake Bobo over the as well as Jackson Smith-Njigba, but obviously Bobo being a big guy, he sort of stepped up in a role, in the absence of DK Metcalf, didn't he?
I mean, it's an undrafted rookie stepping up in the absence of DK Metcalf, which is crucial to our offense. It's ludicrous if you look at it on paper, but I think, living in the same house as me, Sam, you probably know how much I talk about Jake Bobo. And it was absolute scenes in the household last night when he scored that touchdown.
What a touchdown, by the way. It was so good.
Well, I mean, it happened, and I was like, I don't know if it'll stand. When the call came through, I was like, oh my God, what a touchdown. I think it's touchdown of the year so far. I think that's fair. I think that is fair. But I said on the preview podcast tonight that I was nervous for this one because it's divisional, and as you said, the NFC West is an absolute Wild West. But surprisingly straightforward. I'm not going to lie. It was sort of, I don't think the Cardinals played the best that they have played this year. I think it wasn't their best game at all, and I think the Seahawks offense didn't need to do much. I mean, the 2 rookie touchdowns is huge. It's huge. I mean, the sidelines for Jackson Smith-Njigba's touchdowns, it was very wholesome to see how much the team rallied around him and cared about him.
Well, he's been through a lot as well. He's been through a lot. Again, both first round picks have been injured this year to start the year as well. And now obviously Witherspoon had an impact in this game as well. But obviously
so good.
Yeah, and JSN getting his first touchdown as well. Hopefully Seattle have already got something. And yesterday as well, they showed that they are. They need this win to show that they are a playoff team, because the rest of the year they've been a bit shoddy, a bit up and down. Second half against Cincinnati, they weren't great offensively. They sort of changed that, especially without DK this game. I think, like I said, it was great to see him do that, wasn't it?
I mean,
it was completely. I mean,
go on.
Go on.
No.
I mean, it seems like last year we had a great draft, and this year it's looking like we still got some good picks. I mean, Witherspoon balled out. JSN looks really good. Even Jake Bobo, who won the draft pick, it's looking like another good year, and we are quietly building a nice crop of young players. And if we can carry on getting steady wins and making playoffs whilst bringing through this young crop of players, it's huge for the organisation.
You guys, I mean, the Seahawks have done it for years. They've been able to draft so brilliantly. It's so special what they've done over there. I mean, like Bobo coming in, not drafted, but as a rookie, looks nice. Smith-Njigba looks very, very good as a solid receiver for Geno. But Devon Witherspoon, he's a star. I'm already putting it. He is a star. He looks brilliant. I hope he makes that jump in that second year and just continues to play the way he is. But I think he will. From what we've seen, he looks brilliant. You spoke about the Seahawks. Just look brilliant.
He just plays at 100 mile an hour, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's like every time he has like the opportunity to tackle someone or get involved in the game, he's just straight in there. And I know it's very biased from me, but I do think for me, I'm going to call it early. I reckon I said pre season. I reckon defensive rookie of the year, if he carries on, he could be in that conversation.
He's definitely in that. He's definitely in that conversation. I mean, he looks brilliant for the It was tough on the Cardinals because he was all over the place and he gave Dobbs a real tough time. As you said, it probably wasn't the greatest Cardinals performance, but that 1-6 record it doesn't show who they are. They have been really nice this season, and they show flashes again. They show flashes again. Josh Dobbs again. It wasn't his greatest performance this season, but he still looked solid. He had some nice runs on the floor as well. No, he looked fine. And a 1-6 record for those Cardinals is not fair on them at all.
No, not at all.
I think it'd be interesting to see what the Cardinals look like when and if Kyler Murray does come back. We activated his 21-day window to return, so he should be back within the next 3 weeks. You'd like to think, but whether that actually does happen or not, we'll see. Because I mean, if I'm them, I just roll the rest of the year with Josh Dobbs. Like he's playing well. I couldn't bench Josh Dobbs right now. That's the thing. Obviously, Kyler is the person who spent a first overall pick on. Yeah. Then that's the only thing. But are they committed to Kyler? What's going to happen? They, by the looks of it, they're going to get a pretty high draft pick from themselves. They're also going to get a middle of the road draft pick from the Texans too. They could use to get a package. Like what I think we'll learn over the next couple of weeks really like what the Cardinals think about Kyler Murray. Maybe they want to see him. Maybe they want to see him play. But again, if he does come in play, obviously they're costing themselves a chance at a top receiver or a top offensive lineman at the same time. If they don't want to go quarterback, so we'll see. But yeah, the Cardinals they're interesting every week. But last week was probably their worst game. But yeah, I think they might. But I also thought Seattle were really good as well, so that will be a big factor to that too. Okay, moving over to the last game, and this one. Okay, this game is just. I mean, look, it was a blowout for the Bears, beating the Raiders 30-12. Deontay Foreman and Jalen Johnson shined in a battle of the backup quarterbacks. Tyson Bagent looked all right, although his average yards per play was like one of the worst in NFL history. It was very, very, very conservative play calling from Luke Getsy, the Bears offensive coordinator yesterday. But he was the better quarterback yesterday. I thought Brian Owen was crap. For sure, his mobility as well. He has mobility, which is ideal for a Justin Fields backup, having somebody who can move around with their legs. Obviously, that's a real thing. Before this game, the Raiders were somehow in a hunt at 3-3. On the chance to be a playoff team, they're in the hunt for sure. You have to take care of those games to be a playoff team. The fact they lost it the way they did really is discouraging from them. The defense, which has been the team's best unit, did not play well at all yesterday. We'll get run over completely. Badgent helping to that as well. Yeah, so they just couldn't stop the run to save their life, and that lost the game for the Raiders. They moved to 3-4. The Bears now at 2-5. With Justin Fields looking to come back soon. It sort of takes away their number one pick sort of thing on the Bears. Obviously, the Panthers could still get it, but obviously that win will take away their own pick there. So I'd probably say if you're the Bears, you probably wanted to lose this game. But I think that they had that Jalen Johnson for me is a top corner, and him getting the pick, and he's a PR call too, but in a great game. I thought Deontay Foreman as well. It's the Bears like 4-string running back. They've had quite a few injuries at running back now, and he ran all over the Raiders yesterday. It's just a weird game, this one. I mean, you had your eyes on this one. What did you see?
I mean, it's sort of the feel-good story of the weekend, but it doesn't really feel like it, does it? I mean, Tyson Bagent leading the Bears to their first home win in, I think, just over a year. He looked comfortable to start the game. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, we all know Charlie, who on F10Y, is the biggest Justin Fields advocate out there. And we just kept on reminding him all game that he's not missed. But, I mean, Tyson Bagent didn't need much time to get comfortable. I thought he seemed pretty comfortable from the get-go, and from an undrafted D2 rookie, he's got some balls, to be fair to him. I think the game was lost from Vegas because they chose the wrong quarterback. I think McDaniels chose the wrong quarterback. Brian Hoyer's stat line.
They brought Aiden O'Connell into this game as well. In the fourth quarter, they brought Aiden O'Connell in. They sat Brian Hoyer. They should. I mean, look, a battle between two rookie quarterbacks. They're hungry. Like Brian Hoyer has played. He probably played 30, 40 games in his NFL life now.
So he's a 15-year veteran now.
Yeah, 15, he's been about 8 teams. He's been, in every single New England or New England disciple organisation. He's been in Cleveland. He's been in San Francisco. He's been in a lot of places. He's been a backup in a lot of places as well. And I think he's just like not good at all. Like So obviously he is a
Say how it is.
he's a Josh McDaniels play thing. It's like but. So's Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what they like at the quarterback position, obviously. But it just for me, obviously, it's Mac Jones in the same mold as well. I just don't like those kind of QBs. And obviously Badger's legs as well, and his movement helped him yesterday against Hoyer, who was pretty statue-like. I think that's the other thing as well.
Yeah.
But for me, I both these teams are rubbish. Look at how the Raiders managed to get to 3-3 is mental, in my opinion. Obviously, they've had a very easy schedule, but the fact they lost to the Bears probably shows that they are a really not great team. But unfortunately for them, they're probably not going to get a good draft pick either because they've already won 3 games. I
tell you something about the Bears, which is, even though they've won this game, is something that I think they should really be cause for concern. And I'm not just saying this as a Packers fan who's upset that it saw them win. But if Tyson Bagent can come in and look like that with that conservative play calling, it just says how poor your play calling is. Because Bagent came in and looked comfortable. Maybe I'm not being fair on Bagent, but there's been talk about Getsy and Eberflus and how they're on the hot seat, really, because of just this is the most ridiculous coaching.
Oh my God, that's so bad.
I think yesterday showed it, because Bagent came in and, as you said, his air yards were probably about 0.5 or something, and that just shows. And when you've got Justin Fields, who can run the ball, yes, but has this brilliant arm talent that he had coming out of college, and you've got play calling like this, which is what they're comfortable with, it's just awful. It's an awful look for the Bears. It's won them a game, but it's not how they're going to want to win games, especially when Justin Fields comes back. So look, I mean, yes, they got their win. It's hampered them in the draft order, and if anything, it's made their coaching just look even worse, in my opinion. Honestly,
completely, yeah.
Go on, are you going to say anything, Owen? Or?
I was just going to throw out, because I saw it on Twitter and I was laughing to myself, that Brian Hoyer threw for 129 yards and 2 interceptions and had a passer rating of 37.1, which, I just feel bad. I just feel bad for Raiders fans.
It's not. I'm surprised they didn't put Aiden O'Connell in to start with, to be perfectly honest. But
they kept quiet about it. They kept quiet about it all week. They didn't announce a starting quarterback at all. But I think they probably made the wrong choice.
Definitely.
Especially when you're doing it as I was sort of thinking, maybe it will be O'Connell, because Brian Hoyer came in the New England game. You're thinking maybe it will be O'Connell. You've had Hoyer in the last game. Having a rookie a week to take snaps, prepare. But nope, they just didn't do that. So. I don't really know what was behind that move, but the Raiders again, I don't think they're going to be a team hovering around 500 for very long. If I'm being honest, especially with Garoppolo.
It's another bad look on the coaching. To be fair, it's just
absolutely.
Yeah. Especially when McDaniels has just coached and started winning against Belichick in his career as well. He just this is a real knock back for him now. But it's quite a nice way to end the podcast where you talk about 2 really rubbish teams, if I'm being honest. But no, thank you both for joining me. It's been great. This has been the Week 7 recap of the Full10Yards NFL podcast. We'll see you on Friday for the Week 8 preview. Week 8 is mental. Just the season's just gone so quick now. You're getting really close to the halfway point now, which is just mental to think in the first place. But I've been Sam. I've been joined by Olly and Owen. Owen back as well in the next couple of weeks for sure. And this has been the Full10Yards NFL podcast.